On Thursday, February 12th, PlayStation held their first State of Play for the year, and this one was a real packed presentation with well over an hour of games. There was a good mix of deeper dives into announced titles as well as a load of brand new announcements. I'm going to run through and summarize everything that was shown. If you enjoy this content and want to support the channel, please leave a like, subscribe and share with your friends, or leave a thumbs down and let me know how I can be better for you. There was so much shown here, so I'm not going to waste any more time and jump headfirst into it. To kick off the showcase was Ember Lab with a game I didn't see anyone predict, the sequel to 2021's Kena Bridge of Spirits. This is a gorgeous third-person action-adventure title. The developers confirmed that we will be playing as an older, more experienced spirit guide as some time has passed since the first game and Kena has aged. It is set on the new land of Kosmora, and wow, did these environments look stunning. There was a promise of deeper and more dynamic combat, epic boss battles, a larger world and charming spirit companions, one of which we saw was a mix of a peacock and a wolf. It was really cool. Kena Scars of Kosmora is coming this year in 2026. It was a bit of a 1-2 punch from PlayStation, as next up was Ghost of Yotei Legends. This is the online co-op addition to the base game where you can play with up to 4 players. Legends sees you team up to take on the Yotei 6 in new demonic forms in a boss-like scenario. This is dropping on March 10th, 2026 as a free DLC for everyone who owns the game. One of the frontrunners for Game of the Year, Death Stranding 2, is coming to PC. It will have unlocked frame rates, ultra widescreen support, DualSense support, upscaling and frame gen when it releases on March 19th, 2026. A game I'm still unsure on is 4Loop. This is from JJ Abrams' studio Bad Robot Games, who are working with Mike Booth of Left 4 Dead fame. 4Loop is described as a 4-player combat sandbox and features PvE style progression against an ever-changing map. They announced upcoming playtests with no release date. Capcom showed up with another trailer for Pragmata, showing some real cool environments. It looked like a digitized, voxelated New York. This game is releasing in April. I'll have a quick look up for it soon. And it was followed by Resident Evil 9 with another new trailer. I honestly think we've seen almost all of this game at this point, but I'm still really excited. The trailer ended with Leon walking into the Raccoon City Police Department, which was so hype. I'm shocked this still doesn't have a demo drop, but the game releases on February 27th, 2026, so it's only a couple of weeks away. Crystal Dynamics are at it again with a Legacy of Kain remaster. After last year's Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remaster, which I was relatively lukewarm on, check out my review, this year they are doing Legacy of Kain Defiance. This will also feature lost levels and content from the archives, including a demo for Dark Prophecy, which was the cancelled sequel. If this looks good for you, then you should get hyped, as it's just round the corner on March 3rd, 2026. Brigandine Abyss is a massive strategy RPG with 6 main storylines and side quests coming in 2026, and Dead or Alive 6 Last Round is coming to modern platforms and getting some enhancements like costumes and a photo mode on June 25th, 2026. This announcement came with the follow-up that a new game is in development, but that's all we got. One of my games of the show, and something I wasn't expecting to see so early in the year, was Control Resonant. This was more of a gameplay showcase than the initial reveal at the Game Awards. This looked awesome. It gave us a glimpse at the physics-defying movement that Dylan has available to him. Gravity doesn't seem to work normally in this twisted version of Manhattan, as he was constantly switching between planes and shifting perspectives as he did so. All the traversal and combat looked so fluid, and we saw him switching between weapons on the fly. At the very end, we saw a slight reveal for something called a Resonant, which I assume is this game's main threat. This boss fight looked akin to something you would see out of a Dark Souls game, that is to say an epic one-on-one duel in an enclosed arena. I really can't wait for this one, but sadly it is still just a 2026 release window with nothing more solid. Stylized third-person co-op sword and board style game called Crimson Moon is coming in 2026. We got another look of Beast and Reincarnation, the upcoming action RPG from Game Freak. We saw this have a deep dive earlier this year at the Xbox Developer Direct, so check out my video of that for more information. This particular trailer showed more combat, but the new thing was the release date, which is August 4th, 2026. Rayman is getting a 30th anniversary edition, which contains 5 playable versions of the original game. It also includes an interactive documentary with art and interviews with the developers. It released digitally on Friday 13th, so you can play it right now. Mina the Hollower showed up for the first time since its delay back in October. I am so happy to see that this game is back. It's in a gorgeous 2D pixel art style, replicating that feel of the Game Boy Color. I did a quick look of this game based off the demo they released last year, so check that out if you're interested. But also there is a new demo up now ahead of its release in spring 2026. One of the unexpected reveals was Neva Prologue. This is a short title that is telling the story of how Albert and Neva met. I think it is meant to be played after the main game rather than as a standalone title. It has new gameplay mechanics and locations and launches next week on February 19th, 2026. Yako Shinobi Ops was revealed and is a 4-player online co-op stealth action game. This one is not coming until 2027, and I'm pretty sure this is the only one that slapped that year onto its trailer. And then we had The Big Chicken Man. Project Windless is a game inspired by the Korean novel The Bird That Drinks Tears. One of the races in this novel is the huge and powerful bird-like beings, one of which we play as in this game. This is a third-person hack and slash where the giant protagonist wields all sorts of massive weapons, from spears to dual-wielding swords. There appeared to be some Musou elements with hordes of enemies, which reminded me of Dynasty Warriors. I'm intrigued by this game and would love to see more, but Project Windless currently has no release window. One of the more hype announcements from the Game Awards was Star Wars Galactic Racer, which turned up again here. This trailer showcased some exhibition matches across the various biomes. We saw a lot of destruction of the vehicles, which you can see have carried over from this developer's previous experience with Burnout. One of the main concerns for this after its first showing at the end of last year was that there seemed to be a severe lack of pod racers. Well, there's no need to worry because right at the end they gave us a flash of a pod racer. Star Wars Galactic Racers is coming in 2026. 007 First Light had another story trailer which I personally thought was their best trailer yet. Lots of explosions, fast cars, cheeky grins and gadgets. I'm already excited for this game. I don't think I need to see any more of it now before it releases on May 27th, 2026. There was a special segment towards the end here that was hosted by Konami at their own studios as they had a massive 5 games to display. The first was Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. This was a package of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Both of these titles were locked in the prison of the PS3 and PSP consoles, but that is no longer the case. Volume 2 releases on 27th of August, and they also mentioned that Volume 1 would be getting a higher resolution upgrade patch. Next up was Darwin's Paradox, which is the octopus platforming game. This has a playable demo available now ahead of an April 2nd release. Another highlight of the show for me came from this Konami segment. Castlevania Belmont's Curse is a brand new Castlevania game. It had a really gorgeous art style and incredible fluid traversal and combat movement. It is set in a medieval Paris and the 2D landscape is in a colourful but gothic style. It's hard to be completely sure from the trailer, but I can just tell this game is going to be challenging. Castlevania Belmont's Curse releases in 2026. A series that has made a huge positive turn in recent years is Silent Hill. Coming off the back of the successes of Silent Hill 2 Remake and last year's Silent Hill F, this franchise is already getting a new entry. Playing as a character named Simon, this title sees you roam the streets of a place called St. Amelia in Scotland. The biggest bullet point here is that this game is in first person. Sometimes you're sneaking around with a sonar device to avoid enemies, and sometimes you're engaging in combat with both guns and melee weapons. It's hard to believe that Silent Hill could have another game in such quick succession, but Silent Hill Townfall is set to release in 2026. To close out a really strong showing for Konami was a brand new IP called Rev Noir. We didn't see much of this at all outside of some anime looking characters and a split second of combat. The developer did tell us that this was a JRPG title created by people who love and are passionate about JRPGs. Rev Noir has no release window currently. If you asked a group of gamers what series needs a video game adaptation, this would be the top of a lot of lists. John Wick as a full 3D action game is in development by Saber Interactive. Shockingly, we've never had one of these before. John Wick is modelled after Keanu Reeves, and the CGI trailer looked parallel to the films. They did show a bit of gameplay at the end that came in the form of several brutal kills, but it's hard to grasp what the moment-to-moment gameplay will be like. Either way, this is an exciting prospect, and I look forward to seeing more, as John Wick currently has no release window. Bungie's marathon is just around the corner, and we will all see if they will manage to capture that audience with an extraction shooter post Ark Raiders. I personally think it looks pretty good, but I haven't been hands-on with it yet. They did announce that they will be hosting a server slam ahead of release on February 26th through to March 2nd, which is when I will get to try out this game for myself. Quickly following this was the PS Plus update. Spider-Man 2 joins the party on February 17th, and the Classics catalogue sees Tekken Dark Resurrection in March, Time Crisis in May, and Big Walk sometime in 2026. Another one of my most anticipated 2026 games is Saros, which had a gameplay overview here. We have seen a lot of this game already, but here we saw The Passage, which I would describe as the hub world. In The Passage, you can interact with other survivors, but it is also where you find your permanent progression upgrades. In addition to this, there is a balanced modifier system and a fast travel where you can jump over to the biome you got to furthest on your run. This makes the roguelike gameplay more accessible, but I also worry it makes it too easy. On the difficulty front though, they did show something called the Eclipse, which when activated makes everything more challenging. I love a good roguelike, and I'll be playing Saros day 1 when it releases on April 30th, 2026. Marvel's Tokon Fighting Souls is really looking like an exciting release for the fighting game community. Arc System Works have been pretty hush-hush about the character roster, but they revealed the unbreakable X-Men here. In addition to Storm, who we already knew about, they showed Wolverine, Magic, and Danger. They then confirmed that on release there will be 20 characters to choose from, and also an original story mode. Marvel's Tokon Fighting Souls is dropping on August 6th, 2026. To end the state of play, we had a double whammy of cool announcements. The first was a hype trailer to say that the God of War original trilogy are getting the remake treatment. There is no way to really tell how far out this is, as it was just the title card reveal, but they had the voice actor of the original Kratos monologuing it, and he seemed to imply it was pretty far out. It is exciting nonetheless, as these are beloved games. I'd be intrigued to know what level of remake they are going for, whether it will be on the level of Final Fantasy VII, or will it be more like Oblivion from last year. That wasn't it for God of War though, and the one last thing was the heavily rumoured new title. God of War Sons of Sparta is a 2D side-scroller in a pixel art graphical style. You play as Kratos and brother Deimos when they are Spartans and before Kratos becomes a god. The game is written by the Sony Santa Monica narrative team that wrote the mainline games 2018 and Ragnarok. At first blush, it seems to be a pretty combat-heavy Metroidvania, but I'm honestly not too impressed with the 2D pixel art, which I think should always pop off the screen with a creative color palette, but this looks somewhat bland. However, it is a smaller title that comes with a lower price tag, and most excitingly, it's shadow dropped so you can play it right now and see what you think. It's probably going to be on my agenda for this weekend. There we go, a summary of the whole state of play. What did you think of the presentation? Considering how long it was, I am pleasantly surprised with how well paced it felt. There wasn't a single part which dragged. There was a good overall mix of new and announced titles, and even a shadow drop to finish. I think this state of play was awesome. Head over to the channel to see my recent uploads, which are Final Fantasy VII Remake review, or my Nintendo Direct breakdown if you want to know what they announced last week. Let me know in the comments below what you are most excited for out of this state of play, and for everything else, casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.